What's up? Hey, hello, everyone. Wow. So today we are back going to be talking about Survivor Season 50. We are less than 1 week away from the 3-hour premiere of Season 50. So my name is Rachel.
I'm Alyssa, and the fact that we're like a week away is so shocking to me. I feel like we've been anticipating season 15 for such a long time. Like the cast has been announced for like a year at this point, and I'm like, oh my god, finally!
Literally, the cast has been announced for quite some time, and a lot of us were saying, okay, this sort of makes season 49 a little bit like, let's fast forward through 49 to get to 50. And now it's pretty wild that 50 is a weekend away.
Yeah. So I'm kind of excited though that we finally get this like all-time anticipated season, but I wonder if it's going to be able to live up to the hype.
That's true. So, in this podcast, Alyssa and I will be going through the cast as well as the tribe announcements and then giving some of our thoughts after like reading the preseason interviews, preseason press, all of the good stuff there. Um, and yeah, I guess we feel like that people have been talking about the Survivor 50 cast for the past year. So we won't really go into like all of these people's background resumes of everything that they've ever done on Survivor, but more the high level, like our thoughts on the cast, who we think is going to work together, who we think might get voted out early, who we think might make it further into the game.
Yeah. So it's going to be fun, but this is also going to be a lot of our opinions. So if your feelings are going to get hurt by us saying something negative about someone you like, maybe maybe just click off. It's okay.
So I am very, very excited for season 50. But like a lot of people had said back when this cast was announced, I feel like they need to have like season 50 and then maybe like a season before this and or a season after this that was another returnee season. You can't really change the season 50 cast now because it's already been filmed. But I feel like they needed something in between, or they should do like a season 51 All-Stars or something like that, because some of the casting here is just a little bit random feeling.
It kind of felt like the Game Changers cast, where some of the Game Changers cast is like, how did this person change the game of Survivor? And I feel like definitely with season 50, there's some of that same question of like, huh?
Yeah, it's like you got a lot of heavy hitters, you got a lot of people that have played the game multiple times, and then you've got people that made a big impact in their first time playing. But I feel like similar, like you're saying, to game changers, you've got sort of different tiers of the level. Sort of, you've got like the really heavy hitters, like, oh, they were robbed winning, and then you got like I'm not really sure I remember who you are.
Definitely. I also feel like there's kind of a gap where there's a lot of first time players, and then there's like, I think three, 4 time players. And so it's like, where's the like 2 or 3 time players? There are a couple of 2 or 3 time players, but I feel like it's not an even distribution.
True. And then a lot of recency bias, like Daryl just mentioned in the chat, a lot of people from the new era of Survivor. And it's like, okay, if you had a like season 49 be All Stars, maybe you had like a new era All Stars, and then that determine who gets on 50. Because similarly, it's like you have the legends of Survivor on 50, and then you've got like the second time player who I wouldn't be like they're not in legend status yet. I would have rather seen like 24 legends of Survivor come and duke it out than you do like a second chance that's all new era. And also there's like only Jonathan from the early 40s.
Yeah, it is really weird the recency bias, especially from like 45 to 49 versus like literally every other season. So
which I guess we can talk about. So we made a PowerPoint. We're going to talk about the tribes and then everyone on each of the tribes. And once we hit the person, we might be like, maybe we wouldn't have cared to see this person so soon again, or maybe they should have played at a different time. So I'm going to put the PowerPoint onto the screen. And hopefully, this is helpful for everyone watching. You get the visual. And so, this is our first tribe, orange color, a pretty color. It is the Sela tribe. So, because there are 24 people, they've got 8 people starting on these tribes. So, the biggest tribes ever in the new era, and also a 26-day season. So, basically, people are going to get eliminated in like ones or twos every single day, I feel like. So maybe tribe strength doesn't matter as much because I could definitely see a lot of weeks where 2 tribes are going to tribal and only the winningest, the first place team in the challenge wins and is safe.
I also feel like pre-gaming is definitely going to be something that has a big effect on this season. I think that people like to pretend that pre-gaming doesn't exist, but like with this many returnees, like you know that they called each other up. You know that they've been talking. And so I guess I'm curious to see like how many of these things are determined by pregame alliances because I feel like a lot of the time we find out like after someone gets voted out like oh they were in a pregame with X, Y, and Z. So
Yeah, we need the people to spill the tea. So this is the Sela tribe. It has Jenna, Suri, Ozzy, Christian, Rick Devens, Emily, Joe, and Savannah. So we're going to go through individually and then talk about them as a group at the end. So first up, we've got Jenna, who was on seasons 1 and 8. She is now currently 47 years old, living in California. In Borneo, she was eighth place, and then in All Stars, she was third place.
yeah, Jenna was one of those where I was like, I'm glad to see that they called her, but I'm also really confused. Like, who was like, ah, yeah, you know who we need to get on Survivor 50? Jenna. Like, I want to know how that conversation went.
Maybe it was like they need a Borneo representation, and she was one of the only people that said yes. Because also in a lot of the like interviews preseason, they were asked like, who would you have wanted to see on the cast? And people did say Richard Hatch. So maybe Richard just like, doesn't have the good graces of Survivor, so wasn't invited. And like I feel like 450, you do need a season 1 representation.
Yeah, that makes sense, having a season one representative. But I feel like I don't think of her as a season one player. Like, obviously, she was, but she performed better in All Stars than she did in Borneo. And so, like, I think of her when I think of her, I think of her like All Stars. But that could just be me.
So I'm excited to see Jenna play again, especially like I think it's so interesting when you see people like play in their like early 20s like her and then they come back like late 40s. I was like, okay, like this is going to be very interesting because obviously like so much of life has happened, so many different things have happened. So I like when people come back after like a huge age gap in time.
Yeah, like you're not going to be able to predict how she's going to play because it's been 20 years since the last time she played. So I'm really excited to see how she's evolved over that time.
And it seems like being from season 1, she's got a lot of reverence from people. People are like, "Ah, Borneo, like, I would want to play with her just because she is from season 1." And it's like, "Oh, I'd wanna ask her stories about what it was like back in the day," and things like that, and I'm sure with All Stars and, like, Boston Rob and Amber, she probably could have a lot of good stories from those times.
Yeah, I think that would be really fun too.
So next up on this team, we've got Suri, who played on US Survivor seasons 12, 16, 20, and 34. She is currently 55, living in Jersey City. She was fourth place in Panama, third place in Micronesia, 17th place in Heroes versus Villains, sixth place in Game Changers, and fourth place in Australia versus the World. And literally in Panama, Micronesia, Game Changers, and Australia versus the World, literally so close to Final Tribal Council. In three of those, it's like the last spot before Final Tribal Council. And then Game Changers is like one of the top 10 most sad moments of Survivor of all time when she gets advantage getting out of the game. Like, just every single time besides Heroes versus Villains, she's so close to making it to plead her case to the jury.
Yeah, part of it is like I love Suri. Micronesia is one of my absolute favorite seasons of Survivor ever. But I'm also kind of like, if you keep getting like almost to the end and not making it through, maybe that's a you problem. Like maybe it's a you problem where I would be honest to God shocked if anyone let her get anywhere near the final tribal council this time because like she has like the legend status, she has the story. Like if she got to final tribal, she would win. So I'm kind of like, they'd have to be stupid to let her get to Final Tribal. But yeah.
I agree. I feel like it's an uphill battle because even if like she does nothing the entire game, if she made it to final tribal, I feel like you just have to give her the money just because like the storyline of it, like if she sat out every single challenge and like didn't even vote correct the entire game, but she made it to the end, I think you have to vote for her to win. Like people would want that storyline and just to be like Suri won finally.
Yeah, I feel like it would be one of those like cinematic moments they're looking for. Because I feel like everyone who goes on 50 doesn't want to go on 50 only to have like some rando who is going to be forgettable in 5 years be their like representative of that 50th season.
Yeah, so I think it's an uphill battle. I feel like she's got the she's got the social sauce. We've
The
seen like she
RIZPOD is God.
yeah, the Rizzery. Like, we saw her win Traders, and she went on Big Brother and performed really well, and, like, I feel like her playing in Australia versus the World so recently, and that was a 16-day season, hopefully that translates well into now a 26-day season, like, playing fast, voting people out every single day. Maybe that helps, and I feel like she just does have that, like, social game that draws people in and makes people want to work with her, and that's how she does so well in all of these games. Hopefully she's practiced fire so then she can win fire. But yeah, I feel like no one would let her even get to the final four.
Yeah, they better not.
So Suri is back here, and also on her team, we've got Ozzy, who was on seasons 13, 16, 23, and 34. Making this PowerPoint, I'm like, wow, so many numbers I have to keep typing. And then we get to all of like the one-time players. But Ozzy is 43. He is currently living in Mexico. He was the runner-up on Cook Islands, ninth place in Micronesia, fourth place in South Pacific, and then 12th place in Game Changers. He also has the immunity challenge record holder at 5 individual immunity wins, tied with Colby.
Yeah, Aussie is another one of those where I wasn't surprised that he was on the list, but I was kind of like, oh, this guy again. Where, like, it's interesting because I feel like he's a lot like Suri and that he's seen as a legend in the Survivor community, but I honestly don't care about him as much as I care about Suri. So the fact that he's coming back to play for a fifth time, I'm kind of like, can we get this guy out of here?
Yeah, I feel like it's like he is considered a legend, but then also his placements are so like up and down. It's like, okay, Cook Islands is probably the closest he will ever come because obviously it's one vote off of winning. Unless you win the season, then you're never going to improve that. And then like from ninth, South Pacific also fairly close, fourth, and then 12th. It's like I don't know, the up and downness of it compared to, I don't know, I guess you'd say like Parvati, who is always making it quite far into the games. It's just different, I feel like.
Yeah, and I feel like the fact that Ozzy is seen to like maybe rely more on his physical strength, it will be interesting to see him now older and be like, can you do the same things now as you could when you were 20 something? And then, like, how does your game have to change when you can't rely on winning immunities in order to get you through the game? So I think it has the potential to be interesting, but I also wonder if, like, he and Sari have already played together twice. If I were on their tribe, I would not keep both of them because I would assume that they have an alliance and they would eventually betray me for each other. So,
True, because they potentially could have known each other for so long. A lot of people are like, okay, like we haven't talked in X number of years. But I would think, even if you haven't talked in a while, someone that you know and like have known and maybe have seen them grown up over the past 20 years, you might be a little bit more like, I'd want to keep them around over someone that you just met or have
mhm,
recently just met kind of thing.
for sure.
But I think it will be interesting. We do have a lot of challenge beasts on this cast. So now Ozzy, like you said, being a little older, like how can he compete with the younger challenge beasts on the cast?
Yeah. I do think that Ozzy was always very like naturally talented at some of these things. So maybe getting older doesn't take away your natural talent, but it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. So next up, we've got Christian on this tribe. He is 39, living in Florida, and he was seventh place in David vs. Goliath, season 37. I feel like this is one of the lower placements people on the cast. Basically, everyone made final tribal council or they were like fourth place. So this is one of the lower placements, but I feel like he made a big impact on his season to warrant a return for 50.
Yeah, I feel like Christian is also like kind of that like lovable nerd archetype that a lot of people enjoyed. I remember not liking him very much on his first season, and I am kind of like meh on him now. Like, I guess if you had to pick one of the lovable nerds to come back, might as well be him.
Alyssa's the biggest hater over here. Yeah, I like Christian. I feel like I've watched him play on like Blood on the Clock Tower games. So I was like, he's fun to watch, and he is definitely that likable nerd. I feel like a lot of the people on the cast are seeing that though. They're like, okay, he's so likable, he's so smart, like that is dangerous, but he's like that quirky, nerdy, like awkward kind of personality that makes it endearing and not threatening. So I can see him making it far because of that like endearing, quirky personality, even though he is like super smart and super strategic. I feel like being a male nerd is like less threatening than being a woman nerd.
I do feel like though he does kind of have competition for being like the nerdy quirky one. Like there are definitely a lot of nerdy quirkies.
Who's his competition on this season?
I feel like Rick Devens is also kind of like nerdy quirky. But I guess Rick Devens also is a little bit more cocky. I feel like you could call Emily Flippin nerdy quirky too, even though she is a woman. I'm sure that there are other like nerdy quirkies. Like even Mike White is kind of a nerdy quirky. Charlie's a nerdy quirky. Like a lot of the men who aren't challenge beasts are the nerdy quirkies. So
Yeah, I think speaking of Rick and Emily are also both on this tribe, but I agree. I feel like I said, male nerds I think are less threatening than women nerds. So I feel like Emily would be seen as more threatening. And then I agree. I think Rick comes off as like sort of schmarmy. That makes him threatening. And then Charlie is like very smart, being a lawyer and like almost winning the season. But I feel like he also comes off maybe similar to Christian, like, less threatening too.
I feel like Charlie's obsession with Taylor Swift automatically makes him less threatening to a lot of people.
So maybe that's the strat.
Just be obsessed with Taylor Swift.
Yeah, he has to have some, like, quirky personality trait that makes you, like, not threatening, so Christian's, like, robots and his robot shirt, Charlie's is Taylor Swift.
Okay, good to know.
So next up, we've got Rick Devens, who was on season 38, Edge of Extinction. He is 41 now, living in Georgia. He was fourth place on the Edge of Extinction, but he was also voted out fourth Edge of Extinction. And then he won his way back into the game, making it to fourth and losing in Fire. He was also the On Fire podcast host with Jeff Probst.
Yeah, I do wonder how Rick is going to fare in the game just because like he is buddy buddy with Probst and I feel like being the podcast host like you assume that he has a level of knowledge about the game. And, like obviously they all know a lot about the game, especially the people who have played now 4 or 5 times. And so like maybe he isn't seen as uniquely threatening because of his game knowledge, but like that is something that you have to consider is the fact that like he was the podcast host. So, I also feel like maybe this is just my attitude towards the Edge of Extinction, but I feel like someone getting voted out and then having to get voted back in, or not voted back in, but like get back in order to get fourth place is very different from someone who like made it all the way through the game and then got fourth place.
I agree. I think there's something to be said, like, if that wasn't like a returning kind of Edge season where you can play your way back into the game, Rick would not be back in season 50. He would probably not be the On Fire podcast host, which goes to say, like, okay, there are people that are voted out pre-merge that could have like star potential, that could be really, really good at the game, but they were voted out early, and then we don't get to see that like strategic mind of theirs. So good for Rick that he like was able to get back into the game and then now get invited back for 50. But I do think there is something to say about someone that does get voted out early. There's a reason why you're voted out early, whether it's like you're annoying or you're not good in challenges or like people on your team just don't really like you that much. I feel like from the preseason stuff, Rick is smiling too much at everyone at Ponderosa that he might have problems out there because it seems like a lot of people are thinking he's very sketchy.
Yeah, I feel like when you're voted out early, like sometimes it really is just a personality clash, but sometimes it is something where it's like, oh, you need to vote out someone, so let's find a reason to vote someone out. So I think it'll be interesting to see Rick. I don't think he's going to make it that far, but I would be happy to be proven wrong.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like he gives like salesman vibes. And it's also interesting, like there's three On Fire podcast co-hosts here with Rick, Charlie, and Dee. Dee in one of her interviews said that Rick never even like messaged like anything about like, oh, saying more like tips about being an On Fire podcast host. So it's like, oh, that's like interesting considering like this is a new thing and you're podcasting with Jeff Probst. I feel like the next person that gets it after you, you might like message them about it and like, ah, congrats, that kind of thing.
I could understand why he wouldn't message her though, because you don't want to be the one who like mansplains to someone like this is how you co-host a podcast. So I feel like if she had asked, he would have been happy to give some tips, but didn't want to give them unsolicited.
Maybe. So if they've got beef out there, we might see some on fire beef and then someone else will get the podcast spot next time.
Yeah.
So, next up on this tribe, we've got Emily from season 45. She is 30, living in Maryland. So, Alyssa, you might be able to go find her on the streets of Maryland.
I'm
She
not going
was
to stalk Emily Flippin through Maryland.
She was seventh place on season 45, so also one of the lower placing people on the cast. So I would say like I'm excited to see her back again, but also I feel like maybe she would have been better for like a second chance or a game changers kind of season and not a season 50. To me, she doesn't really give like legend status.
Yeah, I feel like she had a really good story of like, she started out rubbing everyone the wrong way and like eventually did end up like getting pretty far. And I feel like that's why even though she came in seventh, like she is back because like she had this really great story. But I'm also kind of like, is her story really like good enough to be on 50? And then also, does her story need another installment?
I hope she comes out and is like Emily 1.0. It's just like tossing people out. I feel like that would be funny to, like, cause beef and stuff on, like, the first Matt chat, but I feel like Emily could make it far because if she is, like, keeping her mouth shut at the beginning and it's like, "Okay, like, that wasn't like, that was me, but it wasn't me," and it's like, "Okay, like, chill and not being abrasive towards people," then I feel like she could fly under the radar because being a 7th placer with these people that all made, like, final tribal council or 4th place, you can throw a lot of people in front of the bus before you.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who I feel like are bigger threats than her. And so just being like, hey, I'll help you vote out so and so might be really useful. Like, just paint yourself as a number until you, like, have thinned the herd a little bit.
Exactly. So, next up, we've got Joe from season 48. We've got 3 season 48ers. Similar to Christian, we also got 3 people from Christian season. But first, with Joe, he is currently 46, living in California, and he got 3rd place on his season.
Yeah, sure was a choice. I feel like I liked Joe on his season, but so much of his content on season 48 was about his relationship with Eva. So I'm kind of like, what is Joe without Eva? Like, genuinely, what are they going to do with his edit? Because he's kind of a. I mean this in the most complimentary way, but he's kind of a basic dude. Like, he likes his wife and kids, he likes his job, like, he seems very kind, but like, what is spicy about him? There is no spice.
He's just the all-American, like, great guy. I think that's the TV appeal, and I feel like he's probably very, very popular with, like, casual viewers or, like, older people that watch the show. I feel like with Joe, though, I think he can go far from, like, when we're talking about the tribe stuff, it seems like a lot of the old school players want to work with him because he was so loyal, to his alliance, but I feel like 3 people from season 48. I would have rather just seen Camilla and then replace Joe with Eva. I'd rather see Eva play again.
Or even wait for a, like, rival season or a pairs season and have Joe and Eva go back on together. Where, I don't know, I feel like having 3 people from 48 is going to decrease all of their chances because people are going to be like, oh, there's 3 of them, that's threatening. And so it's like none of them will get a fair shake.
Yeah, what since I think they're all on separate tribes, what you have to hope for is that one of the 3 gets voted out early and that decreases your threat level, so then you don't have to, like, try to vote them out. Especially because season 48 was like they literally just saw Kyle win before they flew out there. They didn't know anything about season 49. And so, like, everything in everyone people's minds there is we just saw Kyle win and Joe lose in Final Tribal, and, like, Joe Kyle were really close, and then Kyle and Camilla were really close. I'd be like, "Yo, all of these people need to go. Like, you cannot have all 3 of them here."
Yeah. And honestly, I would vote out one of either Kyle or Camilla since Kyle and Camilla were so close. And like their whole thing was that they were like the secret alliance together. So
Yeah, I would think people would want to keep Joe around over Kyle and Camilla because Kyle and Camilla could be seen as like they were lying to everyone and what good liars they are compared to Joe. It's like, oh, I'm the family guy. I made it so far. I had my alliance. I had this relationship with Eva. Also, you all saw that. And then I didn't win in the end. I feel like Joe seems way less threatening than Kyle and Camilla.
yeah. So I don't know how well that will translate to his like placement in the game, but I am curious.
So last up for this team, we have got Savannah, who we just saw win Survivor Season 49. She is 31 from Georgia. A lot of people speculating that either Savannah or Rizzo are the winner of Season 49. So I think once they see the tribe placements on the first day, people will deduce that Savannah is the winner of season 49, considering there is one winner per team. So people will assume that. Savannah also said that she wasn't going to lie about that. So everyone will know that she is the winner on this team.
Yeah, I also feel like people the rumor on the street is that Savannah replaced Marianne on this season, and so it's kind of like, again, anyone who would have spoken to Marianne would have been like, "Oh, a female winner was replaced, so it must be that 49 had a female winner." So I honestly don't think that Savannah's going to make it very far in the like friend versus foe thing. She got so many people saying foe. I feel like she's a big personality and that worked well on her season, but like this is a season full of big personalities and I feel like she is going to be humbled pretty quickly.
I think it's also hard because the meta is that the people that play back-to-back seasons can like go quite far because it's like, oh, use them as a swing vote. But now it seems like, especially on a season like 50, people are not wanting to let that person that plays back-to-back come and like just slide by under the radar because the stats are that the people that return back to back can make it quite far, especially when they are sight unseen, like Savannah and Rizzo are. So I could definitely see them having a target because of that. And then also just like they weren't a part of the pre-gaming, so it will be interesting like not being a part of all the pre-gaming, does that really affect you? Which would sort of suck because it's like, oh, is the entire season like dictated by pre-gaming already? Like that would be sort of crappy.
Yeah, I feel like it might not even be like, oh, they didn't participate in the pre-gaming, so they're being voted out, but it's more like they're an unknown quantity. And for some people, it's like, the devil you know is better than the one you don't, where it doesn't matter whether or not Savannah's a winner. They don't know how she won. They just know that she won. And like even with Rizzo, like you don't know anything about him other than that he was good enough that they wanted him to come back. And so like I think for some people, especially the really strategic people, you want to know something about the people you're playing with. So having people who are total wild cards is harder to factor into your game.
Exactly. A lot of people in their preseason interviews said, "Oh, it's unfair. Like we don't know anything about Savannah and Rizzo, but Savannah and Rizzo know everything about us." Like it's like, okay, they've got like all of the rule game books, but we don't know any rule games about them. So I think it will probably be an uphill battle for Savannah and Rizzo. It will be interesting. I feel like Savannah, we saw her come off as a little abrasive and like willing to like push people in different ways in season 49. So I feel like she can't do that at the start of 50. She's got to be like low key.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if she will be low key though.
So that rounds up the Sela tribe. I feel like some instant connections. I think Christian and Emily probably will try to work together because they play games outside of Survivor together. So you got to be cool. Savannah and Rick Devens are both living in Georgia and both do news stuff. So that could be a connection. To me, I could see the legend old school players, Jenna, Suri, Ozzy, just like and Joe. Basically like forming a like older person, older school alliance where I could see Rick and Savannah being on the outs.
Yeah, I could definitely see Rick and Savannah being on the outs. I also am interested to see how this team performs in the physical challenges, just because I feel like Joe was pretty strong in physical challenges. Savannah was pretty strong in physical challenges. Savannah, I think, is tied for the women's record for most individual immunity challenges won, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yes, she's tied with Chrissy.
Yes. And so it's like you have two individual immunity like hero standouts on this tribe. And then I feel like none of them except for maybe Suri are what I would call liabilities in the like team immunity challenges. You have people who can do puzzles on this team. So I wonder if it'll even be that they go to tribal in order to vote someone out or if they're just generally like strong and well-rounded enough that they wouldn't.
I agree. I think this seems like a pretty well-rounded team. I think importantly, as we've seen in Survivor's past, the puzzle person is very, very important. And I think here you have like Christian, Emily, Stixery in the puzzle if it's like a physical challenge. So I feel like they've got a pretty balanced challenge, like performance here.
Yeah, but I also feel like with the three tribe structure, there always is a fail tribe, even if they seem balanced to start with.
Yeah. So your thoughts on who goes early and far on this team?
I feel like goes early would probably be Devon's. I think goes far, maybe Joe.
Yeah. So going into friend versus foe, this is a very hard chart to look at online, but you can also look at it on Reddit from a Reddit user called Real Zumabayev. They posted the entire friend versus foe cast breakdown that Mike Bloom did. So here I've got this slide after each tribe, then we can look at it at the end as well. But just looking at the orange tribe, Savannah has a lot of reds, which is the foe. It's probably just because like people don't know her. It's easy just to say foe on there. Um, but then after Savannah, Suri has the next most foes at 4.
Yeah, which I think is interesting because Jenna has Sari as foe, but I'm kind of like, Jenna, you need to work with the other like older school players. Like, I don't know how she's gonna do with like ingratiating herself with the new schoolers. So I will be interested also because like Sari has always been such a sweet talker, whether or not those foes stay foes once they actually meet her.
Yeah, and maybe it's like, oh, looking from afar, before I knew that you were on my tribe, it'd be a foe, but circumstances come up, and then you're like, okay, I might be forced to work with you, or like, I should work with you, kind of thing. It's like people can be afraid of a certain person, but like, push comes to shove, you might have to work with them because that's just how the tribe is breaking down.
Yeah.
So, I think Suri and Ozzy will probably work together. Best friends, besties.
Besties.
So, yeah, I think looking at this, it is very interesting, although definitely can change once this show starts.
Yeah. I think the hypotheticals almost never work.
Yeah. So next up, we've got the pink tribe, Vatu. I really like this color, this like sort of pink fuchsia. Really cool. So this team has got Colby, Stephanie, Aubrey, Angelina, Q, Genevieve, Kyle, and Rizzo on it.
Yeah, this team quite interesting. I feel like they're kind of a smorgasbord, if you could say.
They've got a lot of like the people that you'd be like, fun TV. I don't know if you'd want to be on the island with them because they're a little maybe chaotic.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm very interested to see like Angelina and Q interact or like Q and Rizzo. Like I feel like this island will never be quiet.
Yeah, if they're like, it's a scary place, you'd be like, "Oh, Riz, cinema, blah, blah, blah," and be like, "Oh, these are scary words. Please save me."
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I also think it's an interesting mix of like old school and new school because you have the two old schoolers and then you have a bunch of new schoolers. And then I feel like, do you count the 30s as the middle at this point? Like they're not the middle, but I feel like they are the middle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, middle. So first, we've got Colby, who was seasons 2, 8, and 20. Colby is currently 51, living in Texas. He was the runner-up on season 2, 12th place in All Stars, and then 5th place in Heroes versus Villains. He's tied for the male immunity challenge winning record at 5 immunity wins with Ozzy. So I think like we saw his last time in Heroes versus Villains, it seems like he is back to change that narrative.
Yeah. I this is so shallow, but like one of the first things I thought when I saw Colby's picture is like, wow, he's still so handsome. Like, that's not fair. Like, he was handsome like a bajillion years ago on season 2, and he's handsome now. Like, what the heck?
No, literally, Alyssa, when I texted you that like I was talking about, I was like, wow, everyone on this cast is like so attractive. I'm like, these pictures are really, really good for everyone here.
Yeah, but I think especially for Colby, I'm like, that man aged like fine wine. Um, but I feel like all of my thoughts about Colby like evaporate every time that I look into his eyes in this photo because he's just like he's smiling so charmingly, and yeah,
So we got some eye candy on the screen. I'm intrigued. It seems like he is in a good headspace. He seems to have watched the new era seasons mostly. So I'm like, okay, let's see how it goes.
yeah. I also feel like he's one of the people that like if you told me to cast season 50 of Survivor, he might have made it on the list. Where it's like he genuinely is, I would say, close to legend status, if not an all-time legend.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, he's got something to prove. I feel like some of the people that play so many times don't really change anything each time. So I hope like he can change stuff that like makes it interesting to watch. Like we don't need to see someone play three, four, five times if they aren't changing stuff in between.
Yeah, and I think the fact that it's been, again, over a decade since the last time he played does speak to maybe he's going to change his game versus I feel like, if you haven't had time to process the game that you like played and like get new life experiences, then maybe you're not.
Yeah. So next up, we've got Stephanie, who was on seasons 10, 11, and 20. She's currently 45, living in Florida. She was seventh place in Palau, and then the runner up in Guatemala. And then she was the second person voted out in Heroes versus Villains. Stephanie, Colby, definitely working together.
Yes, I also feel like one of my most formative Survivor memories involves Stephanie, where I my mom used to watch Survivor when I was like a very little kid, and I very vividly remember in Palau when the Oolong tribe was down to only 2 people, and I like started crying because I was 7 years old and didn't have any emotional regulation skills, and I was just so sad about it, and so I feel like I have always had an attachment to Stephanie. And so to see her come back, it's like she is one of the people I would put on Survivor season 50, but I fully recognize that I also am biased by the fact that I was 7 years old and my brain was still very malleable when I saw this life changing piece of media. So, yes.
True, and maybe similar to Colby after getting voted out second in Heroes versus Villains, maybe something to prove as well. We also saw Stephanie recently on Traders, Snake in the Grass, so she's been playing these other kinds of games. I feel like it'll be interesting to see like more strategy from Stephanie because I feel like she's more known for like challenges and being like the last person of her original tribe.
Yeah. And again, she's someone who it's been so long since she last played. I'm realizing there's a lot of heroes versus villains players on this season as well. Maybe they're just looking to capture the heroes versus villains sauce again. Um, but yeah, it's been a long time since she played. And so again, I think that she is going to have more time to like refine her strategy.
Season 50, they should have just cast everyone from Heroes versus Villains again and let's run it back. Like, Heroes versus
Honestly, that
Villains
would
is
have
a
been
great
fire.
season.
I would have loved heroes versus villains the do-over.
Yeah, it's like, oh, like, let's play this game 100 times. Who would win? Now we should actually try it. Because I feel like people wouldn't just do the same thing again. It would be different.
I don't know. Sometimes people might do the same thing again, like Francesca getting voted out first twice.
As a joke, you might be like, oh, let's like vote out Sugar again. But you probably be like, let's vote out Sandra so she can't win 3 times.
Yeah.
So next up, we have got Aubrey, who played on seasons 32, 34, and 38. She is currently 39, living in New Hampshire. She was the runner-up in Co-Wrong, 5th place in Game Changers, and then 16th place in Edge of Extinction. So maybe also similar to Stephanie and Colby, maybe something to prove after a like early boot out of your most recent season. And even in Game Changers, I feel like she wasn't really edited like that much. Like I feel like I don't even remember her on that season for her making it so far in the game. So it's sort of like a okay, her high was wrong, and then it's like medium downhill since.
I feel like it's hard though, because when you start on such a high, like there's not a lot of upward mobility. Like it's not like there's only one place that's higher than second place. And I feel like Aubrey was very much painted as like kind of a robbed winner, at least in the first couple of years after Co Wrong premiered. I feel like now a lot of the fans have accepted like, okay, Michelle was a good winner. Like Aubrey wasn't robbed. But I think when you are seen as like a robbed queen, that gives a very different like second place feeling than if it's like someone who almost unanimously won and then you got one vote and the runner up got zero. And so I feel like that contributed to the way that Aubrey was maybe perceived in her further runs. But now I feel like there's been more space. And so I'm not sure when people think of her, they think of like, oh, robbed goddess anymore. So maybe that will be to her advantage.
Yeah, I feel like maybe a mix of both. I feel like also she sort of gives like the woman nerd archetype, which is maybe negative because you don't want to be a woman nerd since they might get voted out early. But I do feel like maybe the 16th place in Edge of Extinction, it could sort of be like a Tony and Game Changers. It's like, okay, like DDD, I was really bad at my like most previous showing of this game. Like I wasn't really that good and then try to like play up like the first time was a fluke kind of thing, even if it wasn't, just play that up, um just so like your threat level isn't so high.
Yeah. But I'm interested to see her play again.
Yeah, we've got some, quote, robbed goddesses. Chrissy also on the season, Charlie also on the season. People that, like, okay, people argue were robbed or could have, should have won the season. So maybe they bond over that. Or, like, in Chrissy and Charlie's situations, maybe they need to lower their threat level because Aubrey's got other games in between, other survivor rounds, but the other two don't.
Yeah, for sure.
So next up, we've got Angelina, the second of the David vs. Goliath people from season 37. She is 35, living in California, and she got third place in David vs. Goliath. I feel like the three David vs. Goliath people I am like okay with, Angelina, Christian, and Mike White. Compared to the three season 48 people, I feel like they shouldn't have done three.
I'm going to be real with you. The only thing I remember about Angelina is the jacket conversation. And I feel like in some ways like she's become more of a meme in the survivor community than an actual survivor player. And so I feel like she's maybe going to let some people down if she just isn't a walking meme the second time around. So I'm not sure how I feel about her casting specifically.
I feel like she is like a game changer of Survivor, like Angelina talking about like, oh, women aren't going to go find like the stats of women finding idols are so low compared to men. And she mentioned that in season 37. Then after 37, like a lot more women found idols. Also, like the rice negotiations that can be attributed to Angelina. So I feel like it's like if it were like a game changery kind of season, then she would fit well there because I definitely do feel like she has made a big impact on Survivor. I also feel like maybe it's like the people's bias against like certain types of people, but I feel like Angelina is like a very, very like strong woman player that then at the end was treated like a wacko person, like the goat at the end. But I feel like if she's able to gain more respect, she could have a good game.
Yeah, I really wonder if she'll be able to gain that respect, especially like her starting tribe is not really like a respectful tribe, if that makes any sense. Like, I feel like a lot of them are less serious, maybe, but I don't know.
Is it just Q and
I
Rizzo?
guess that's true. I Q is casting his Q spell over the rest of the tribe, where like I could see him pushing her buttons real bad.
That's true. I feel like on this team, like Angelina, Q, Rizzo are like the hectic people and like the people that might cause drama. I feel like Colby, Stephanie, Seymour level-headed, Aubrey too, Genevieve, Kyle, they're all like people that you would like not be like worried about. I guess I would be worried about partnering with Angelina, Q, and Rizzo because they just seem more like hectic players.
They seem flighty.
So, speaking of, we've got Q from season 46. We've also got three season 46ers, which I feel like for season 50, similar to season 48, they should not have all three of these people on here. But Q is 31, living in Tennessee. He was sixth place on season 46.
Oh, Q. His Q skirt. I feel like again, similar to Angelina, like Q to me is more of a meme than a player. And like maybe this is just the fact that like I totally forgot all of those things that Angelina did until you just said them. But I feel like Q legitimately did he contribute besides being a meme and with his Q skirt and canceling Christmas.
I feel like that's why production really likes him. I feel like in interviews, he comes off so well. Like, he is so charming and so funny in like all of the spoken interviews. I'm like, wow, like, I would want to be your friend in real life. In Survivor, a little bit scary because like you said, the flight risk. I feel like working with Q would be scary because he could say one thing to your face and then backstab you 2 hours later and be like, no, I don't actually want to work with you, voting you out. Sorry. Because it's like we saw him like implode his entire alliance and then everyone got voted out with idols in their pocket on season 46. I feel like I would not want to personally work with that because it just is sketchier than like someone that had an alliance and went to the end with their alliance but then lost.
Yeah. He's just a mess where like he's charming but definitely not someone you want to be in an alliance with.
Yeah, good TV from the viewer perspective. Hopes he goes far because it's funny TV. On the island, I'd vote him out.
Yeah, yeah, because like you don't care who makes good TV when you're trying to get to the end.
And also, maybe since all of these people are returnees, maybe you're thinking, like, let me vote out the people that are going to be screen time hogs because I want the screen time. And Q would be a screen time hog.
That is very true.
So, Q though, he played in like a charity survivor game, like Traders Mafia game online. Can I spoil it?
Go for it.
So anyone else, skip like 30 seconds ahead. But Q and Sage were the traitors in the game. And then they both make it to the end. And then Q ends up backstabbing Sage, voting her out. So then he could be the sole traitor winner and like take the glory. But then, like, because it's for charity, he ended up giving like Sage and the other like runner up people part of his prize earning money to like donate to their charities as well. But I was like, wow, like that's so nice. But then also like voting Sage out to be the sole trader winner, like you would do anything to win, which is like good TV. But so I feel like I don't want to work with you.
Yeah, definitely. That's not the kind of person you want to work with. And it also seems like it would not be a good person to like who's going to vote for you at the end if you get to the end with that strategy.
Yeah, but Q I think would be voted out early because of the chaoticness, but I hope he goes far because he's so charming and he's just fun TV.
Yeah. He's fun to look at. Like watch.
So next up, we've got Genevieve from season 47. She is 34 from Canada, and she was fifth place on season 47.
Genevieve. I feel like when we're talking robbed goddesses, we could talk Genevieve. I feel like, again, this is another one where I love to see her back, but I'm also kind of like Emily, questioning if her story needed another installment. Because, like, she had, like, such a powerful story her first season playing, and I'm kind of like, what are we going to add this time? What's going to be the pizzazz?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the people like 45 onwards, I feel like they should be on like a second chance game changer season because I feel like Genevieve is a very, very strong player and is good at strategy and could have won the game. But like just everyone that isn't in the legend status, it's sort of like, okay, maybe they should have been on a different season.
Yeah, I feel that too. Where like I also feel like giving some of them, like especially in like the 47, 48, 49 range, like a little bit more time before coming back could also be better, I feel like.
Yeah, and there's only like 5 legends, so then you've got like 19 other cast people that you have to cast, but yeah, I feel like maybe just like seeing people so back to back, I'd rather like, okay, let's see you in 3 years or 5 years, not like 1 to 2 years from when you just played. And maybe it's like, okay, you get the call. You can't really say no to season 50, so it's maybe part of that.
Yeah, for sure.
But Genevieve, I feel like she could be a very big target considering it's like her and Rachel were like the overdogs in season 47 and people were like, okay, like if Rachel's not winning, Genevieve is going to win. One of them has to go. So I feel like she could get targeted because like from that perspective, it's a little bit scary.
Yeah, for sure. But then it also feels unfair to have her be targeted because like, oh, in an alternate reality she could have won when like she's on a tribe with an actual winner. So everyone's on a tribe with an actual winner, but
But yeah, she's a lawyer, and then the next person that won, Kyle, also a lawyer, so maybe they've got, like, a lawyers alliance going on, and now no one can lie about being an attorney, so maybe you're like, "Ah, Genevieve is actually a lawyer, we need to vote her out." Kyle won season 48, he is now 31 and living in New York.
yeah. I feel like there's not a lot to say about Kyle because I feel like he had a solid run, he had a solid win, like, he's a good guy. I feel like he's had no controversies since then, but he's also just so recent where it's like, what are you gonna do with that?
Yeah, I feel like Kyle too, we don't need to see back so soon, especially like being a winner. It's like they could have had another male winner if they needed the like 3 winners. They could have had a different man winner in his spot, someone that had won like just this past year kind of thing. I feel like that would have been more interesting to see like their evolution of the game rather than like, okay, you just won, like send you out there again and see what happens. Especially with there only being 3 winners, I feel like they are going to get targeted just because it's like why would we want to let you near the end? Let's vote you out because you already won. Let's let one of the other 21 people here have a shot.
Yeah, it's weird that two of the 3 winners were from the 2 seasons before, like, season 50, so not my favorite choice. I like Kyle. I would love to see, like, him and Camilla again on our, like, hypothetical, like, pairs season.
Yeah. So Kyle, and especially from season 48, I feel like drop drop Kyle and then maybe just have Joe and Camilla, or like we said, drop Joe and Kyle and then have like Camilla and Eva on the season. Yeah, I don't know. It's like you've had 3 of the top 4 placements of season 48. You might as well should have brought Eva back too then.
Yeah, why not?
So Kyle, I feel like probably gets a target just because he is a winner and like literally they just saw him win yesterday before flying out there.
Yeah. So, I feel like he's not gonna go far. Sorry, Kyle.
So next up, we've got Rizzo from season 49. He is 26 from New York and was fourth place on season 49. But the people do not know that. But Rizzo says he's mostly going to tell the truth about all of that stuff, especially because telling the truth about that isn't necessarily bad because you're like, Savannah's the winner. She won $1 million. I was the fourth place, got eliminated in fire. And then feel like you have to share the reasons of like how I got invited back for this all-star season. And so it'll be interesting to see how he frames that. Would it be like, oh, I was working in like a three-person really tight alliance and then I got cut and that's why I'm here. I'm the robbed goddess. Or would he be like, I had an idol for 10 million weeks, didn't get voted out? Probably not share that one. And I would say, like, I was in a tight alliance and I'm the Rod Goddess fourth place finisher.
Yeah. I don't know. Rizzo is one of the people that I genuinely did not want to see again. I I think by the end of our 49 coverage, it was very obvious that I was done with him. Like the whole RIZGOD Rizgod thing is like fun as a meme, but he did it so much, so often. I just like I didn't like him. I don't want to see him back.
Which is funny because everyone on the cast, because they got to see, like, the finale of 48, and the 48 finale has, like, the preview for 49, everyone here got to see him say the RIZGOD thing in confessional because that was aired. So, I think that is funny because everyone is, like, coming in with different preconceived notions of Rizzo and, like, why he would be invited back onto 50. But also now Rizzo is the youngest person on this cast at 26 compared to like 49 when there's like young people and older people. So it'll be very interesting because I feel like his like Gen Z perpetually online kind of like himbo energy might not work that well now.
Yeah, I feel like he might be seen as like the annoying little brother and get voted off the island because of it.
Yeah, like it'll be interesting if people are like, hee hee, like, 6'7", and like doing all of like the memes and like meme talk, or if they're like, oh, what is this? Like, this is brain rot child over here. We need to get rid of him.
Exactly.
So that is the Vatu tribe here. We got this beautiful pink color. I feel like this tribe, do they have a puzzle person?
Aubrey?
Yeah, Aubrey. I feel like you need 2
I feel
though. Is
like Genevieve
Angelina
was also
Rizzo?
pretty good.
Yeah, because I feel like if you don't have a puzzle person, that's not good. I feel like they're pretty strong, like, physically, like, if they have to do running, swimming, lifting big blocks, they're pretty strong.
Yeah, they've got enough strength, I feel like.
Yeah, so thoughts on this tribe, Alyssa?
Fine. Yeah. I feel like with this tribe, like you this tribe has a lot of the people where I personally am like you brought them back, where it's like I don't really think I wanted to see Rizzo again. I don't really think we needed to see Kyle or Genevieve again this soon. I feel like Q will be fun while he's on the season, but I don't think that he's actually going to win. And I don't see the point in casting people who aren't going to win. I recognize I cannot be objective about Stephanie, so I won't comment on her. And then, like, I love Colby. I'm glad he's here.
Low key, I feel like I agree. I feel like on this tribe, like, I'm most excited to see, like, Colby and Angelina play again. For Genevieve, Rizzo, Q, Kyle, I feel like I would have rather them wait a few years and be invited back. Like Rizzo, if he played when he was like 40 with kids, like I think that would be interesting. I don't think we need to see like Rizzo and Kyle play within the same year when like they Kyle just won. So
I'm trying to think of
I
Rizzo in 14 years and whether or not Survivor will still be going on, and that's making my brain hurt.
It'd be so funny though, because he'd be like, back in my day, like 6'7", cinema, and then there'd be like all these new memes that he can learn.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like a lot of this tribe, I'm like, I don't It's like I would want to see them play again, but not so soon. So it's sort of like meh. Then you also have like some hectic energy with Q, Angelina, and Rizzo, which is a little bit like scary hectic energy.
Mhm.
Um, but I could definitely see, yeah, honestly, I could see Q, Angelina, and Rizzo getting voted out early off this tribe because of that hectic energy, because Rizzo is unknown, and because Angelina has got two other people on the season. And then maybe you vote out Kyle too, because he also has two other friends from his season and he's a winner. So maybe Genevieve's good then, less threatening, because I would definitely, yeah, target the winner, the people that have more connections, and then Rizzo and Q.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So going into our friends versus foe is really hard to read in the small, but this is the pink category on the bottom right hand side. Um, Rizzo has a lot of foes, which is very similar to Savannah. I feel like everyone's just going to say you're a foe because they do not know you. Besides Rizzo, Q has the next most foes. Um, and then yeah, then Angelina, I think, has 3. So it goes Rizzo, Q, Angelina. So it seems like that hectic energy is coming into play here.
Yeah, and then I feel like Genevieve, Kyle, Aubrey, I think Kyle has one foe and Aubrey has one foe from within their tribe, but otherwise it's kind of like they're pretty well liked within their tribe. So I feel like Genevieve, Kyle, Aubrey going far. Though it is interesting that Kyle is so well liked, being that he is a winner, and we speculated like, oh, they might off winners first, but we'll have to see.
True. But then I think when you hit the beach day one and then you're like, oh gosh, look at my hectic energy tribe. Kyle's a normal, nice guy. Let's keep him around, even though he is a winner. And then I can also see the strategy of like, keep the winner around because they will be fodder to get voted out like at the merge because no one will want them to make it to the final tribal council. So like maybe keep them around till final 10 and then start voting them out as a shield.
Yeah, that's true. Use the old meat shield strategy.
Yeah. So moving on to the last tribe. With 24 people, I feel like we've been talking forever. We need
Amen.
an
Hallelujah.
18-person cast. So we're on the blue tribe. This is a pretty teal color, the Kahlo tribe. They've got Coach Chrissy, Mike White, Jonathan, Dee, Charlie, Tiffany, and Camilla.
This tribe, I feel like, is going to be the one that does not do well in immunity challenges, just like off the cuff.
But they got Jonathan, and look at those pants. Jonathan's
That's
pants are
true.
so cool.
Jonathan did like literally drag his team through an entire challenge once. So,
Jonathan counts as like 3 people.
yeah, I think it's so funny to have Jonathan standing right next to Dee because he is like solidly like a foot taller than her.
Yeah, I guess it's like Dee and Camilla are shorter women. But I would say like Chrissy won. She's tied for the most immunity challenges. Dee is really buff. She was just on the challenge too. Tiffany, I feel like works out. Camilla in her interviews said she goes to the gym and likes weightlifting. So maybe they're just like smaller in stature, but they can hold their weight. Plus Jonathan is +3.
Yeah. I will say though, I feel like this tribe photo gives me like awkward family reunion most of all of the tribe photos.
We'll have to go back and look at the other ones. I feel like it's like with Camilla with her arms crossed, a little weird. Like Chrissy's just like is a little bit too far off to the side. Like you could Photoshop her out and then like it would still look normal. She's a little bit far away from everyone.
Yeah, it's just very strange compositionally. Not a fan.
Yeah. They also have puzzle people. I feel like Chrissy, Charlie, Camilla, I feel like they got a good balance of puzzle and strength.
Yeah, I guess maybe I just like looking at them because Dee and Camilla are both so short, and then you have Mike White in between the two of them. It kind of looks like, oh, those people are gonna lose. But
Yeah, and I think it does depend, like, okay, will first two teams win immunity, or is only the first place team winning immunity? Because if it's first two, then like strength and puzzling matters. If there's two losers every single week, because we got to cut a bunch of people, then it doesn't really matter because two people are losing. You got to be like super OP to win that.
Yeah, for sure.
So, first up on this team, we've got Coach, who was on seasons 18, 20, and 23. Coach is currently 53 years old, living in California. He was fifth place in Tocantins, 12th in Heroes versus Villains, and the runner up in South Pacific.
I mean, at least his strongest performance was his most recent performance. That's more than some of these people can say.
That's true. I feel like I am very, very excited to see Coach. It seems like from his interviews, he has like learned a lot in the years in between all of the Survivor seasons, and it seems like he's learned a lot from his time on the different Survivor seasons. So honestly, I feel like he has good winner equity.
Yeah, I feel like excuse me, depending on like how far he leans into or away from the whole Dragon Slayer meme could be interesting because I feel like when you see that Coach is on a season, you have like a certain expectation of what he's going to be like, especially because this is his fourth time playing. And so that if he doesn't meet your expectations, I feel like that could be kind of confusing for people versus like if Jenna isn't the way you remember. It's not like Jenna had like a shtick that she did.
That's true. I feel like maybe he's gotta, like, lean into it in pre-merge, but then post-merge, like, lean out of it in order to gain respect from, like, the jury, and it seems like he's not going to be like, "Oh, all honor, integrity," like, if he got asked at final tribal council, like, he would own up to, like, not being honor, integrity, so I feel like that's interesting compared to, like, Joe, who's probably going to do the honor, integrity thing again and not change anything. It seems like Coach like, listened and learned from the South Pacific experience, and it seems like he would be better at the jury questions.
Yeah, but it's also anyone who's played 3 times should hopefully be better at the jury questions than someone who's played once.
That's true. So I feel like if Coach gives chill energy and not chaotic energy, that will be good.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you could throw Coach in with like the Q, Angelina, Rizzo's, but if he acts more chill, like, ah, I'm 53 now, like I'm not doing all the hectic stuff, that would be a good alliance partner.
Hmm.
So, next up, we've got Chrissy from season 35. She is 54, living in Florida. She's the runner up in HHH, and she's also the tied Women Immunity Challenge holder, winner of 4 immunity wins with Savannah on this season. So, I'm excited to see Chrissy.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Chrissy too. I think when we're talking about robbed goddesses, Chrissy is probably on that list, especially because I think at least among the like Survivor fans, there's speculation that maybe the winner of her season had some production interference, and I do wonder how much players like believe in those sorts of conspiracy theories because yeah, I just wonder that. And so like maybe that gives her an edge or not an edge in some ways.
Yeah, speaking of, like we talked about Aubrey, robbed goddess, Chrissy here, people think of that way. Charlie is also on this tribe, which also people probably think that way. So her threat level's probably like medium because you've got multiple of those people on the tribe. Um, but yeah, I feel like it would be very interesting to see how Chrissy does, especially because if she says like, "Okay, I didn't have the social game I wanted because everyone on my first season, like, we're all super young, they didn't ask questions about me." Now on this second season where the average age is like older and you've got a lot more people like in that similar age range, how will the social game look?
Yeah, I definitely think because the age, like, I'm so curious what the average age on this season is. I didn't think to calculate it, but I should have. But I'm willing to bet that it is much, much higher than the average age on a lot of recent seasons. And so that definitely does influence the social aspect. I also feel like there's a lot more people on this season who are like parents and who are like, people who have had really long careers. I know Chrissy in like her final tribal speech in HHH like talked about how moms were the real heroes, and I feel like that would like hit different like with a jury made of these people versus the jury that she got on HHH. So very interesting
Definite
how that changes things.
Definitely. So, got Mike White from season 37, the final David versus Goliath person. Typing this up, I was like, I can't just put Mike, right? Like, there's other Mikes on Survivor. I feel like it was weird to not have his first and last name. So, he is Mike White. He is currently 54, living in Hawaii, and he is the runner up from David versus Goliath, and now also like very well known for other things, but recently the White Lotus.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like when Mike White first played, like his career, maybe I just don't remember his career ever having come up, but like I feel like the White Lotus is such a cultural phenomenon. And like I know so many of my friends who watched the White Lotus texted me and were like, "Did you know that the guy who wrote White Lotus was on Survivor?" And I was like, "Yes, like I knew him before you knew him. Back off, Mike White." And so I feel like, it's very well known that he like wrote and produced White Lotus. And I do wonder how that will affect his game just from the fact of like, I feel like people do consider like, oh, who needs the money? And like Mike White is probably already a millionaire. I would be shocked if he wasn't already a millionaire given how successful White Lotus was. And so I feel like it would be a little weird for him to be like given $1 million when he already has several $1 million.
That's true. I wonder if people like think of that, but yeah, I'm like everyone's sort of well off. It's not like the David versus Goliath season where it is said that he sort of stepped down at Final Tribal because it would look bad if he beat the David at Final Tribal Council when he is like rich. So now, because everyone's like, equally medium, at least well off, that maybe that doesn't come into play. It seems like people like they all know about the White Lotus stuff, but it seems like people are thinking not let's keep him around so we can get on the next season as a cameo on the White Lotus, but people are like let's vote him out because other people would want to keep him around to get onto White Lotus.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like the whole like socioeconomic version, like aspect of Survivor was a bigger deal when they did have more like genuinely blue collar players. But now that everyone is pretty much like white collar in some way, shape, or form, it's less of a big deal. And yeah, you can make more money with a White Lotus cameo than you can on Survivor.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see like do people care about the White Lotus stuff? In his interviews, he's like, "This is my vacation. I don't want to talk about White Lotus." So maybe people like if you don't talk about it, it's not like a hey, don't vote me out. I'll keep you around. I'll get you on my TV show. But if he's just like, I don't really want to talk about it, then you can't really be like, let's vote him out because he's promising that person to get on the show.
I still feel like you can vote him out, even if he doesn't want to talk about it.
Be like, uh, put me on your show, but sorry, I'm voting you out.
I mean, yeah, you gotta respect the hustle, Mike White.
True, write it into the next season of the show. I could also see, like, even though Jonathan counts as like four people, three people, four people, maybe Mike would be less good at the challenges. So maybe that's a reason too.
Yeah, for sure.
So, speaking of Jonathan from season 42, he is 32 from Alabama and he finished in fourth place. I feel like this is the sort of like what pick? Like how did Jonathan get onto season 50? It would be better for like a all-stars, game changers, second chance kind of season, but like to only have one person from the early 40s and it's Jonathan is just sort of head scratching.
Yeah, it is kind of head scratching. I do feel like he was a good player on his season. Like, I know we made a ton of jokes about like how strong of a player Jonathan was because he like we mentioned earlier, like he dragged his team. He literally physically dragged them through one of the challenges, and so I feel like it's just like challenge beasts are seen in a certain way. I feel like every team had like their challenge beast quota that they had to meet, and they were like, "Ooh, we haven't given this team a challenge beast. Better call one up." And like, I feel like Chrissy also could count as a challenge beast, given that she is tied for the most wins from a female. But like, no one is like, "Oh yeah, Tiffany the challenge beast." So maybe like they wanted to level the playing field where it's like if you have Ozzy on one team and Colby on another team, like maybe you do need to give the third team like someone, and that's why they picked Jonathan.
Yeah, maybe. Because if like Marianne or Savannah took Marianne's spot, I would think you would want Marianne and Omer on here. Like I would have replaced Jonathan with Omer and like get that drama. Where like there's so many other people from season 41 to 44, 45 that like could or should be back on an all-stars season. So that's why they do need to have another second chance returnee all-star season because I feel like there's a lot of people and it's like the only early 40s person, that's sort of whack.
Yeah, definitely whack.
But Jonathan was coached by Boston Rob before coming out here, so I feel like Jonathan too probably doesn't come off as that threatening. Maybe he comes off as stubborn because like it was sort of like my way or the highway with the Alliance members, but I feel like because he sort of doesn't come off as a strategic threat and you'd want him for challenges, I feel like he could make it past this team portion of the game.
Yeah, I feel like Jonathan might be perceived as kind of a meathead. And so, like, he won't be very threatening, like, maybe until he gets to the individual challenge portion. But even then, I feel like there's like one of those things, like the weird statistics about like Jonathan has won fewer individual immunities than like Sari or something like that, where like Jonathan didn't actually win a lot of individual immunity challenges on his season. He just was like a tank in the like team immunity challenges. And so I wonder like how that will impact him too.
That's true. And maybe it's just even more like staggering because it's like Jonathan was like carrying Omer and Marianne through the water. And it's like, okay, their tribe is like pretty okay in like physicality. Like, is Jonathan going to carry Mike White and Camilla through the water? Probably not.
Who knows?
But I think Jonathan should go on the challenge. So, someone who's just on the challenge was Dee from season 45. She was the winner of season 45. She is 28 from Florida, and she's also an On Fire co host, which you've got two On Fire co hosts on this tribe.
The thing that I really wonder about Dee is how other Survivor players feel about her whole showmance with Austin and then them not getting together at the end of their season. Because I feel like there were a lot of casual fans I knew who were like devastated that like Dee and Austin did not end up together forever because of like the way that she used that showmance as a way to get to the end. But I feel like a lot of players would be like, yeah, showmance is just another strategy. So I'm curious about that. Just like how her like villainousness, if you could even call it that, like was perceived by other players.
That's true. And even like Austin and Dee, if people heard or saw Wendell and Dee, maybe that would cause some friction or drama on the island. I think that would be very interesting. Also, it's like I feel like everyone here is probably in a relationship, so there probably isn't any like flirting going on in this season. But yeah, maybe that like flirting perception could be interesting.
Yeah, that could be interesting, but I'm not sure how it would happen.
Not in this season, unless people are doing things they shouldn't be doing, since I think everyone's like in a relationship or married. Uh, But yeah, I feel like Dee comes across as like very, very likable in all of her interviews. Like she's just so smiley and so friendly. So even though she is a winner, I feel like similar to Kyle, she could use being a winner, like take me further, use me as a shield. Don't vote me out because people want to vote me out later. Like keep me around. I feel like out of the winners, I could see Dee going the furthest.
I'm not sure I agree with that just because I feel like Kyle is so much more steady than Dee. Where like Dee might be like bubbly and happy and stuff, but I feel like people might think of that as an act. Whereas like Kyle has always been like kind of no frills, very like, dependable guy. And I feel like that could go across better in like a returnee season than someone who's like happy go lucky.
That's true. I feel like Dee and Kyle do have a lot of similarities, though, where Kyle could be like, yeah, I worked with Joe and Camilla. I brought my ride or dies to the end. Dee, too, could be like, I brought my four very, very far into the game, like Austin, Julie, all of them. So it's like, okay, like she brought like had that alliance members so she could be like, yeah, I'm trustworthy. I feel like it'll be very interesting, like working against her. People say that she's one of the best winners of the new era, and then Kyle is sort of put into that bucket a little bit, but I think because they flew out right after Kyle won, people might not have like read the online discourse as putting Kyle in like the D Kyle like top tier of the new era survivor winners. But also because Kyle just won yesterday and he's going out there, I feel like that might put a target on his back.
Yeah, it's kind of weird to think about like, oh, they had literally just seen Kyle win before going out because like it's been a year in my head.
So I feel like for me, D could make it far-ish.
Yeah, I think it really depends just on like how she presents herself once she's on the island.
So next up, we've got Charlie from season 46. He is 27 years old from Massachusetts. He was the runner-up of 46 and was also an On Fire co-host. So Charlie and Dee probably get along and bond.
Yeah, I see that. I mean, like we kind of talked about Charlie earlier when we were talking about like the nerdy quirkies, but I feel like yeah, he's kind of a nerdy quirky. He's fine.
I do think what you said earlier about the Taylor Swift stuff, I do think that makes him way less threatening. Because if you just heard like runner up, robbed goddess of Survivor, his ally turned on him and didn't vote for him to win the money and he lost by one vote, so threatening, lawyer person, you'd be like, ah, that guy is scary. But then you're like, oh, he can name all these Taylor Swift songs. And you're like, ah, friendly.
Yeah. I feel like it might depend on like how annoying he is about it cuz like I know like when he and Ben were doing their whole back and forth of like naming song titles, did we not get a confessional of someone being like, "Oh my god, shut up?" Cuz I feel like that's how I would feel eventually after hearing people talk about their favorite artist all the time.
We're naming all those song titles, I'd be like, yo, this kid's got a really good memory. They're so smart. Like, how did you memorize all of this stuff? I don't even know names of songs. I'd be like, vote him out.
Yeah, vote him out. It's weird what small thing can make someone seem threatening.
Yeah, like Q playing hide and seek. Oh, and we didn't talk about Q and Aubrey on the same team.
Yeah, no.
So, next up, we've got Tiffany from season 46 also. So, it's interesting they kept Charlie and Tiffany together compared to like all of the other people that are in groups of three. So, like the Kyle group of three, the Mike White group of three, all of them are all split up 1-1-1. Tiffany and Charlie are on the same team here. Tiffany is 34, living in California. She was eighth place on season 46, which is the lowest placing person on the season.
That's wild to me because I feel like when I think of that season, because Tiffany and Kenzie were so close, I'm like, oh yeah, Tiffany made it super far, but like she didn't really.
Yeah, so I feel like Tiffany is also one of the like, this is an interesting. pick for 50 if you're thinking like 50's legends. I'm like, Tiffany's definitely not a legend. Maybe she can become a legend after season 50, but it's just sort of like this is a weird pick considering it's like, I feel like there's a lot of other women you could have put in this spot.
Yeah, I really want to know, like, who was their like absolute dream cast, and then who did they have to like compromise on because like their dream cast didn't say yes. Because like I love Tiffany, I'm excited to see her back, but I don't think that I would be like, oh yeah, this is the one.
Yeah, like I feel like she used good strategy, found an idol, got voted out with the idol, but it's like she didn't do anything so out of the ordinary that it's like, oh, yes, legend, bring her back for 50.
Yeah, for sure.
But I feel like Tiffany or Hunter maybe was my winner pick for season 46. So, like, maybe this time I feel like Tiffany is going in that good spot of like probably going to be very, very underestimated. If people even know who she is, people might not even remember because it's like eighth place. Why would you get invited for season 50? They might mistake her for other people or not even remember her game because she was out such early merge. So it's like that I think would work really, really well in her favor that she could definitely fly under the radar and then maybe win.
Yeah, and I also feel like I said, she is really close with Kenzie. Maybe Kenzie gives her some coaching on like how to improve her game or something.
And also I feel like on these like returnee seasons, the people that do the best are the people in this Tiffany spot that are sort of like the who are you picks. They can usually make it far.
Yeah, for sure.
So I feel like Tiffany can go far. She's not probably going to be threatening because people might not remember who she is. And then she can like make up the story of what she wants.
Yeah.
So last, we've got Camilla, who's from season 48, our last 48er. She is 31, living in California, and she was fourth place on season 48.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like Camilla's the one who's going to get most screwed by this because, like, she's not a winner like Kyle, but being on the same season as Kyle, like, there's no way she's going to get far because, like, she's with Kyle. Everyone knows that they were a duo. Like, be so for real.
I feel like Camilla needs Kyle and or Joe to get voted out, at least one of them in the pre-merge part of the game, because if all three of you are making it to merge, like you just like you'd be like, let's vote her out. Or if it's like the last tribal before merge and all three of them are still around and your tribe goes, people might just be like, let's vote her out. We can't have three people from the same season going into the merge together. That is going to be like three of the 12 people here. That's a huge voting block. So that is so dangerous. And Camilla even said in her preseason stuff, she was like, if I knew like Kyle and Joe were going to be here, like I wouldn't have said yes. So at least she realizes it. I think Camilla probably gets the most screwed over by Kyle being here too. So like Kyle, he should fuck up, should let Camilla shine.
Yeah, but I feel like they probably also didn't tell Kyle that Camilla was going to be there.
Yeah. So I feel like Camilla a little bit dangerous because everyone just saw her similar to Joe and Kyle. But like Joe and Kyle get more of like the loyal, like, you want to work with them. But then Kyle and Camilla, Kyle's got winner upside. So it's like even if he doesn't win 50, he's still rich and won the game. Camilla is a lose lose on all scenarios because it's like she's coming in with this huge threat and she's coming in looking like a big liar from like keeping the Kyle Camilla relationship secret the entire time. And like, sure, she can maybe try to spin it and be like, look how loyal I was. Like, I didn't even like try to beg him to bring me into final three. Like, I knew one of us could not be there for the other to win. Like, I'm so loyal. But I feel like more likely people are just going to be like, you guys are lying to everyone the entire season.
Yeah. So Camilla's screwed. Sorry, Camilla.
Unless Kyle and Joe get voted out. So maybe so. This is the Kalo tribe. I feel like they've got a good group here. For me, I could definitely like Coach and Charlie. gotta work together because they both are friends with Ben. And I think they two are definitely working together. So I could see them being like the nexus of the alliance. Camilla said Coach is like her all-time ever favorite Survivor player. So I feel like you get Camilla in there. And then you probably get D, Tiffany, Chrissy in there. Yeah, I see Coach and Charlie as the nexus of the alliance. Coach, Charlie, Camilla D as the nexus. And I think you probably vote out, yeah, Mike, maybe Jonathan if you don't need tribe strength.
I feel like you do need Jonathan for tribe strength, though.
At least in the early.
Yeah, at least in the early.
Yeah. So I don't know. I could see, yeah, Chrissy and Mike having issues here because I definitely could see like Coach hanging out with the younger people and Charlie, Tiffany, Camilla, and Dee as like the dad of that group, and then like the other people won't really fit in.
Yeah, I feel like in general, this group is kind of chaotic in the sense of like, there's no one where I'm like, oh yeah, this is a super strong alliance. Like, I can see what you're saying about Charlie and Coach, but I'm not like, oh yeah, those two are tight. So,
Ben will kill them.
hmm,
It's like no more touring with Coach. Sorry, Coach is gonna get kicked out of the band.
amen.
So, back to this friend or foe chart. So, this is the blue tribe, which is in the middle section here.
I can't read that. My eyes hurt.
Yeah, looks like Charlie's got two foes, Chrissy's got three foes, Dee has three foes, Camilla's got two foes, and Mike has one foe. So that's interesting. It's a very friendly tribe, it seems like. Not anyone with like an astronomically more foes on here.
But again, it could be one of those things where you do these friends or foes before knowing who's on your tribe, and then maybe you realize, like, oh, this person might be a friend in theory, but actually having to live with them, they annoy me.
Yeah, Jonathan got all friends, and Coach got all friends from everyone on here too.
Shocking.
And so overall on this chart, Jenna has got 20 friends. She's the most friends, most popular person preseason. Coach has 19.5 friends, then Ozzy at 18, Christian 17, Aubrey 17, Tiffany 16 and a half, Mike, Jonathan, Joe at 16. Then it starts to go down. Savannah is the lowest. She's got a lot of foes. She only has 7.5 friends. Rizzo has a lot of foes too, only 8 friends. The bottom people are Savannah, Rizzo, Charlie, Q, D, and Angelina Kyle. So I think that makes a lot of sense. You've got like the two unknowns in Rizzo and Savannah at the bottom. And then you also have the three winners are all at the bottom, Kyle, D, and Savannah. Then you've got the chaotic people and Angelina and Q, and then Charlie, who is like the most recent robbed god.
Yeah. Which all kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah. So I feel like it'll be very interesting because it like that even though it is preseason and everything and anything can change like going into this season, I feel like people's preconceived notions usually like go into their bias once they start the game.
Yeah.
So that rounds out all of the cast. We need a smaller cast, apparently. Now we've been
Yeah,
talking
I'm
for so
tired.
long.
That took so long.
I know, literally, I did not think it would be so long, but
Yeah.
hopefully for you all, this was fun. It was fun for us. Let us know in the comments down below what your thoughts are. Who do you think will make it far? Who do you think will get voted out early? What do you think of the different tribes? Do you agree with us? Do you not agree with us? We are both super excited for next Wednesday.
Yes, we will see you guys soon with our season 50 premiere episode. So exciting. And yeah, have a great weekend.